Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Good to have you here. I want to start off with a song this morning just because I'm in the mood, so hope you guys enjoy. It's called Psalms Remix. I just ripped out Psalms chapter 1 and made a little ditty about it. I will praise my Yah according to his righteousness. I will sing praise to Yeshua. I will praise my El with my whole heart. I will be glad and rejoice in you. He's like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruits in season. Whatever he does prospers. Blessed is the man that doesn't walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, but his delight is in the Torah. On this he meditates day and night. He's like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruits in season. Whatever he does prospers. I will praise my Yah according to his righteousness. I will sing praise to Yeshua. I will praise my El with my whole heart. I will be glad and rejoice in you. He's like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruits in season. Whatever he does prospers. I will praise my Yah according to his righteousness. I will sing praise to Yeshua. I will praise my El with my whole heart. I will be glad and rejoice in you. He's like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruits in season. Whatever he does prospers.
Man, that's good.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, the songs in portion today begins in Leviticus 19. In the scriptures, it's entitled "The Lord is Holy." So I thought about that song and decided to go ahead and give it a shot this morning. Put my guitar away. So yeah, what is it? Leviticus. Let me wait for the ticker here. Leviticus 9:1 through 20:27, Amos 9:7 through 15, Ezekiel 20:2 through 20, and Matthew 5:33 through 48, and 15. Oh, I missed it. But yeah, you can see the scrolling ticker down at the bottom.
Yeah, for some reason, it's another week. We got 2 portions, so
Oh,
a lot of reading.
Yeah, I see that. Let me get a sip of water. Oh, better not forget prayer either. I'm going to go ahead and pray. Father, Abba, we thank you for this Shabbat. We thank you for your blessings. We're thankful for everything that you do for us. We pray that you lead us and guide us and teach us. Show us what you want us to learn. And just be here with us. And we want to call you friend. In Yeshua's name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Jumping on in here. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, "Speak to all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say to them, Be set apart, for I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am set apart. Each one of you should fear his mother and his father, and guard my Sabbaths. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Do not turn to idols, and do not make for yourselves molded mighty ones. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. And when you slaughter a slaughtering of peace offerings to Yahuwah, slaughter it for your acceptance. It is eaten the same day you slaughter it, and on the next day. And that which is left on the third day is burned with fire. So if it is eaten at all on the third day, it is abominable. It is not accepted. And he who eats it bears his crookedness, because he has profaned the set-apart offering of Yahuwah, and that being shall be cut off from his people. And when you reap the harvest of your land, do not completely reap the corners of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. And do not glean your vineyard, or gather every grape of your vineyard. Leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Do not steal, do not lie, do not deceive one another, and do not swear falsely by my name, and so profane the name of your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. Do not oppress your neighbor, or rob him. The wages of him who is hired is not to remain with you all night until morning. Do not curse the deaf, or put a stumbling block before the blind, but fear your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. Do no unrighteousness in right ruling. Do not be partial to the poor, or favor the face of the great, but rightly rule your neighbor in righteousness. Do not go slandering among your people. Do not stand against the blood of your neighbor. I am Yahuwah. Do not hate your brother in your heart. Reprove your neighbor for certain, and bear no sin because of him. Do not take vengeance, or bear a grudge against the children of your people, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yahuwah. Guard my laws. Do not let your livestock mate with another kind. Do not sow your field with mixed seed, and do not put a garment woven of two sorts of thread upon you. And when a man has intercourse with a woman who is a female servant, engaged to a man and to be ransomed, but she has not been ransomed nor set free, there should be an inquiry. But they are not put to death, because she was not free. And he shall bring his guilt offering to Yahuwah, to the door of the tent of appointment, a ram as a guilt offering. And the priest shall make atonement for him with the ram of the guilt offering before Yahuwah for his sin which he has done. And the sin which he has sinned shall be forgiven him. And when you come into the land, and have planted all kinds of trees for food, then you shall reckon their fruit as uncircumcised. For 3 years it is as uncircumcised to you, it is not eaten. And in the 4th year all its fruit is set apart, praises to Yahuwah. And in the 5th year you eat its fruit, so that it increases its yield to you. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Do not eat meat with the blood. Do not practice divination or magic. Do not round the corner of your head, nor destroy the corner of your beard. Do not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor put tattoo marks on you. I am Yahuwah. Do not profane your daughter by making her a whore, so that the land does not whore, and the land becomes filled with wickedness. Guard my Sabbaths, and reverence my set-apart place. I am Yahuwah. Do not turn to mediums, and do not seek after spiritists to be defiled by them. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Rise up before the gray-headed, and you shall favor the face of an old man, and shall fear your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. And when a stranger sojourns with you in your land, do not oppress him. Let the stranger who dwells among you be to you as the native among you, and you shall love him as yourself. For you were strangers in the land of Mitzrayim. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Do no unrighteousness in right ruling, in measurement of length, in weight, or in measuring liquids. Have right scales, right weights, a right ephah, and a right hin. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim. And you shall guard all my laws and all my right rulings, and do them. I am Yahuwah. There was a couple. questions I had. But yeah, that's the end of chapter 19.
Oh, I was right about the fruit trees.
But that was one of my questions. It says when you come into the land you inherit. That was one of my questions. We're not in the land that we're going to inherit. Is this law anywhere else where it doesn't say in the land you're going to possess? Because to me that sounds future tense, and maybe I'm mistaken.
Well, I mean, all the laws say that.
Well,
Brian and I are going to test that out. We bought some fruit trees, and we're not going to pick of it until, I think the 4th year I was planning on making wine out of it. I think you're allowed to do that. It says in the 4th year, its fruit shall be holy. So I thought maybe I'd just make wine out of it. And then on the 5th year, actually eat the fruit. And I think that I think what we were planning on doing is that Brian was going to get a couple that were already older, and so we wouldn't really know if someone picked off of them. But then the newer ones, like the baby ones that we know for sure haven't been picked off of, we were going to just let them, produce up into the 5th year. And then it's not really a really good scientific experiment because they're coming from different places, different nurseries essentially. But I kind of wanted to see, whether or not the ones that didn't get picked up until the 5th year, whether or not they grew in abundance. And I don't know if you guys have heard it. There's a guy, and I still to this day have not taken the time to look at this documentary. I think it's called Back to Eden or something like that. And so I had heard someone online talking about a man actually took all of the principles of agriculture out of the Old Testament, and he actually did agriculture on his land that way. And supposedly everything grew in abundance. And have you guys heard of that documentary?
I haven't.
I think it's called Back to Eden. So.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. The dude with the mulch and the fruit trees hanging over to the ground, bearing fruit.
It's hard to describe it to people. Like, you just have to see it. It really is.
Is the documentary called Back to Eden?
I think it's Back to Eden Gardening.
Okay. And is that what he did too? He didn't pick up the fruit of the tree for 5 years?
I would assume so.
I don't remember him describing that as part of it, but
he lived, if I remember right, he lived up in like northern Washington on the coast where it was fairly cold.
Yeah, it was Oregon or Washington.
And he recorded the documentary in like fall or winter. And he shows, like, the video starts off and he's looking at his neighbor's yard, and like all the grass is dry, the trees have no leaves on them. You can clearly tell that it's fall. And then he pans over to his yard and it's literally like night and day. Like, what grass he does have is bright green. All of his trees still have leaves. They're still producing fruit. His garden's in full bloom, like producing all sorts of stuff.
What?
He had to quit buying dog food because his dogs only eat out of his garden.
What?
All of his fruit trees were so overladen with fruit that the branches hung down. Like, you didn't have to climb a ladder to get fruit. Like, all of the fruit was at like your level.
Am I correct when I heard someone say that he's taking all the biblical principles, or is he just doing a horticulture method?
I assume that he's doing a biblical approach. Like, I don't know that he's Torah observant, but he just seems like a guy that just reads the Bible and is like, yeah, God said it, so I'm going to do it.
Interesting.
So,
yeah. I mean,
but yeah, like he has some sort of something wrong with him. Like, he uses a rake as a cane and like limps around on that. Like, he's not a very I mean, he gets around, but like he doesn't get around like super well, I guess. So yeah, it's really interesting to see how a guy that doesn't have full use of his body is still able to like do everything and care for this huge place. It's wild.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch it now.
I didn't remember ever seeing this before in Leviticus 19:34. Let the stranger who dwells among you be to you as the native among you, which is kind of interesting. It makes me think of Exodus 12:48. But yeah, I don't remember this being there.
Yeah, up a little higher, I think it said, "Don't bear a grudge against your neighbor." You know, like
Mm-hmm.
not talking about like your next door neighbor, but like because that would be your brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Very cool.
Yeah, the other nations out there.
What do you
And it's
make of this?
interesting to note, that it says do not drink blood, and then right after that it says or practice divination or soothsaying. So it just kind of shows those occult practices go hand in hand with drinking blood. Is that people
Mhm.
didn't just drink blood when they were making a meal; they were doing it in conjunction with uh, divination or soothsaying. And then right
Yeah,
after that,
that's a
it
good
says, "You
point.
shall not round off the side growth of your heads, nor harm the edges of your beard. You shall not." And then right after that, it talks about the cut, putting cuts in your body or tattoos. So I kind of feel like all of these things went hand in hand with maybe the occultic practice. Like maybe they did something with their hair along with it.
And maybe the 29 verse was in there too,
Yeah. And do not profane your daughter by making her a
Exactly.
harlot, because they had the temple
Hmm.
prostitutes, and I'm pretty sure there was male and female. And from what I need to take the time to really look to make sure that I can find validation on this, but I've heard others say that um, when the temple prostitution would happen, when they would become pregnant after they gave birth to that child, that was the child that was offered to you know, their lesser gods for their practices. So it was like all intentional. It wasn't, from what I'm gathering in my head, it's not like just a family would just have a baby and then be like, oh, ours is going to go up for the sacrifice. I think it was all intentional from the conception.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet. I mean, they definitely had child sacrifice. I mean, like archaeology tells us that. So where they got the babies from is, questionable, but that's a pretty good guess.
Yeah, I just came across a man's channel, and I don't know what his channel is called right now, but he shows archaeological evidence, and they found one of the Canaan altar sacrifice locations, and all of the, I don't remember how many baby and children bodies were there, but the guy was trying to say that this lines up with scripture, but the modern archaeologists are finding ways to kind of like tone down that the practice is actually like a Canaanite worship.
Yeah, and they're like burned bones as well. Like you can clearly tell that they died in a fire. Because it says don't sacrifice your children to Molech or make them pass through the fire. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
Is it
it's pretty gnarly.
Expedition Bible? It sounds like Expedition Bible that you're talking about.
Oh, the channel of the,
Yeah.
maybe it's been recent since I found him. I haven't taken the time to look at a lot of his content.
Right. Ah, treat your elderly kindly. Oh man, that's rough. It's hard. You talking about all the gray hair you're getting, Dustin? Chapter 20. You're muted, sir.
Oh, geez, I've been talking a lot.
No, you haven't.
That's funny. Well, I have, but I've been muted. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, this is Leviticus 20, verse 1. Now, verse 2. Say to the children of Israel, and any man of the children of Israel, or of the strangers who sojourn in Israel, who gives any of his offspring to Molech, shall certainly be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. And I shall set my face against that man, and shall cut him off from the midst of his people, because he has given off his offspring to Molech, so as to defile my set-apart place, and to profane my set-apart name. And if the people of the land at all hide their eyes from the man, as he gives any of his offspring to Molech, and they do not kill him, then I shall set my face against that man and against his clan, and shall cut him off, and all who go whoring after him, even go whoring after Molech, from the midst of their people. And the being who turns to mediums and to spiritists to go on whoring after them, I shall set my face against that being and cut him off from the midst of his people. And you shall set yourselves apart, and shall be set apart, for I am Yahuwah your Elohim, and shall guard my laws and do them. I am Yahuwah who set you apart. For everyone who curses his father or his mother shall certainly be put to death. He has cursed his father or his mother, his blood is on him. And when a man who commits adultery with the wife of another man, who commits adultery with the wife of his neighbor, the adulterer and the adulteress shall certainly be put to death. And a man who lies with the wife of his father has uncovered the nakedness of his father. Both of them shall certainly be put to death. Their blood is upon them. And a man who lies with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall certainly be put to death. They have made confusion. Their blood is upon them. And a man who lies with a male, as he lies with a woman, both of them have done an abomination. They shall certainly be put to death. Their blood is upon them. And a man who marries a woman and her mother, it is wickedness. They are burned with fire, both he and they, that there be no wickedness in your midst. And a man who has intercourse with a beast, he shall certainly be put to death, and the beast you kill. And a woman who approaches any beast and mates with it, you shall kill the woman and the beast, and shall certainly be put to death. Their blood is upon them. And a man who takes his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and sees her nakedness, and she sees his nakedness, is it loving commitment? And they shall be cut off before the eyes of their people. He has uncovered his sister's nakedness. He bears his crookedness. And a man who lies with a woman during her sickness and uncovers her nakedness, he has laid bare her flow, and she has uncovered the flow of her body. Both of them shall be cut off from the midst of their people. And do not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, nor of your father's sister, for that is laying bare one's own flesh. They bear their crookedness. And a man who lies with his uncle's wife, he has uncovered his uncle's nakedness. They bear their sin. They die childless. And a man who takes his brother's wife, it is uncleanness. He has uncovered his brother's nakedness. They are childless. And you shall guard all my laws and all my right rulings, and do them, so that the land where I am bringing you to dwell does not vomit you out. And do not walk in the laws of the nation which I am driving out before you, for they do all these, and therefore I loathe them. But I say unto you, you are going to possess their land, and I myself give it to you to possess it, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who has separated you from the peoples. And you shall make a distinction between clean beast and unclean, and between unclean birds and clean. And do not make yourselves abominable by beast or by bird, or whatever creeps on the ground, which I have separated you from you as unclean. And you shall be set apart to me, for I Yahuwah am set apart, and have separated you from the peoples to be mine. And a man or a woman in whom there is a medium, or who are spiritist, shall certainly be put to death. They are to stone them with stones. Their blood is upon them. Yeah, Leviticus 20:22 here talks about, we are to do these laws now so that, when we get into the land, he doesn't vomit us out. And it says, and you shall guard all my laws and all my right rulings and do them, so that the land where I am bringing you to dwell does not vomit you out. So
I just want to point out that we obviously cannot follow all of those to the T because there is no judicial system set up according to, God's instructions until later in the millennial reign. So we
yes,
can practice by not acting these ways. But even if we found someone that was acting this way, you can't just go and pick up a rock and throw
stone
it at
them.
them. Like, and something I find I've been thinking about, like the whole burning with fire thing. I'm wondering if, I just feel like this is my personal opinion, but I feel like I just don't see God just letting people burn people alive. I'm almost wondering if it has to do with their burial. Like, maybe they're put to death and then instead of them getting like a burial, it's like a cremation, maybe process. Because I just don't see how I have a hard time wrapping my head around people being burnt alive. It just seems like
What do
an
you think the
occultic
lake of
thing.
fire is?
Well, that's that's going to be the soul.
Well, it's
And it
body and
doesn't
soul.
it seems like you'll be extinguished pretty quickly. It doesn't seem like you're going to, like, like someone that's being burnt on a stake. It's very
Oh, I
gruesome.
mean, people say drowning's a pretty bad way to go too.
I don't know. Like, in my head, it's those movies of like witch trials, and they're put on the stake and the fire slowly gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then, your flesh is dripping off your body and
Yeah, but I
pretty
think that's the
gruesome.
point. Like public hangings weren't for the guy getting hanged. It was for everybody else that thought about doing whatever it was that guy did. It was like to instill shock so that people were like, hey, maybe I ought not do what that guy did because that's a terrible way to die. Like stoning someone with stones, like that could take a while. Like their bones are going to break. There's going to be a lot of blood. Like stuff's going to spill out. Like it's going to be a not quick process because any
So,
stone that you're going to be able to kill someone in one hit with is going to be too heavy to actually throw. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So, like, someone talked about watching a video that you could actually watch on YouTube, which I don't want to watch it because it's pretty gruesome. That they actually, it was like in another country, they did a stoning, and how they did it was that they would bury the people's bodies all the way up to the neck, and then a whole bunch of people got together and threw stones at the same time, and it was actually a quicker way of dying than like every part of your body getting hit, because they're hitting at a
hmm,
specific target. And it doesn't take very much of a stone to hit your temple in a certain way to take you out.
right.
And in my mind, that kind of makes sense. Like, maybe that's how they did it, because I guess this is a practice that still happens somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't
true.
remember where, and that's how they do it. Yeah. Yeah, it's really
But
hard for
yeah,
my mind to wrap
it's
around this kind of stuff.
yeah,
So
it is. But like I don't know. I think people need to think about that kind of stuff. Like it really puts things into perspective. Like no matter which way you come out of it, like yeah, there's it's a lot to process. Got anything else over there? Are you ready to move on? I figured you just forgot you were muted again.
Nope, I'm here. All right. Amos 9:7 through what, meow? Amos 9. Wait, I jumped ahead of I'm confused.
It looks like we're going to Ezekiel. Yeah, because there's two different portions this week. That's why it's a little confusing.
So
Or wait, no, there it is. Leviticus 19, Amos 9:7 through 15. and then Ezekiel 20.
So I started off in Leviticus, and we're actually should have started off in Leviticus 16.
You started off with portion 2.
Well, thanks for letting me know.
Right.
Well, let's go back to Leviticus 16. Are you sure it's 2 this week? I didn't look at the
I mean,
myself.
you're welcome to double check, but I'm fairly positive because there was like a couple weeks like that where they had 2 portions, and I don't know if it was because they had the feasts, Torah portions during the feast days. Maybe, I don't know. And then, I guess after we get done with all the Torah portion, you want to try like the whole Bible in a year, where we read 3 chapters a day.
Possibly. But yeah, you're right. It's got 2 listed for today. I'm going to go back to Leviticus 16 then, before we move on.
Yeah, I know, Sherry. Like, I want to say that happened more than once to Paul. She posted Acts 14:19, and there came hither certain Jews from Antioch and Iconium, who persuaded the people, and having stoned Paul, drew him out of the city, supposing he had been dead. Like, woof, it's rough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know those days whenever you work too hard and you're like, oh, my body hurts. Like, but we have no idea. Yeah, that's a good point, Sherry.
All right, you guys ready for Leviticus 16?
Yep.
And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe after the death of the two sons of Aaron, as they drew near before Yahuwah and died. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, speak to Aaron your brother. Do not come in at all times to the set-apart place inside the veil, before the lid of atonement, which is on the ark, lest he die, because I appear in the cloud above the lid of atonement. With this, Aaron should come into the set-apart place, with the blood of a young bull as a sin offering, and of a ram as an ascending offering. He should put on the set-apart linen, long shirt, with linen trousers on his flesh, and gird himself with a linen girdle, and be dressed with a linen turban. They are set-apart garments, and he shall bathe his body in water, and shall put them on. And from the congregation of the children of Israel he takes 2 male goats as a sin offering, and 1 ram as an ascending offering. And Aaron shall bring the bull as a sin offering, which is for himself, and make atonement for himself and for his house. And he shall take the 2 goats, and let them stand before Yahuwah at the door of the tent of appointment. And Aaron shall cast lots for the 2 goats, 1 lot for Yahuwah, and the other lot for Azazel. And Aaron shall bring the goat on which the lot for Yahuwah fell, and shall prepare it as a sin offering. But the goat on which the lot for Azazel fell is caused to stand alive before Yahuwah, to make atonement upon it, to send it into the wilderness of Azazel. And Aaron shall bring the bull of the sin offering, which is for himself, and make atonement for himself and for his house, and shall slay the bull as the sin offering, which is for himself. And shall take a fire holder filled with the burning coals of fire from the slaughter place before Yahuwah, with his hands filled with the sweet incense beaten fine, and shall bring it inside the veil. And he shall put the incense on the fire before Yahuwah, and the cloud of incense shall cover the lid of atonement, which is on the witness, lest he die. And he shall take some of the blood of the bull and sprinkle it with his finger on the lid of atonement on the east side. Also, in front of the lid of atonement, he sprinkles some of the blood with his finger 7 times. And he shall slay the goat of the sin offering, which is for the people, and shall bring its blood inside the veil, and shall do with that blood as he did with the blood of the bull, and sprinkle it on the lid of atonement and in front of the lid of atonement. And he shall make atonement for the set apart place, because of the uncleanness of the children of Israel, and because of their transgressions in all their sins. And so he does for the tent of appointment, which is dwelling with them in the midst of their uncleanness. Hey, Mike, good to have you here. We're on Leviticus chapter 16, verse 17.
Blessings to y'all. Continue. I had to pay my dumb internet bill. It went out last night, just before midnight. Blessings, brother. Continue on.
All right, Leviticus 16, verse 17. And no man should be in the tent of appointment when he goes in to make atonement in the set apart place, until he comes out. And he shall make atonement for himself, and for his household, and for all the assembly of Israel. And he shall go out to the slaughter place that is before Yahuwah, and make atonement for it. And he shall take some of the blood of the bull, and some of the blood of the goat, and put it on the horns of the slaughter place all around. And he shall sprinkle some of the blood on it with his finger 7 times, and cleanse it, and set it apart from the uncleanness of the children of Israel. And when he had finished atoning for the set apart place, and the tent of appointment, and the slaughter place, he shall bring the live goat. Then Aaron shall lay both his hands on the head of the live goat, and shall confess over it all the crookedness of the children of Israel, and all their transgressions, and all their sins, and shall put them on the head of the goat, and shall send it away into the wilderness by the hand of a fit man. And the goat shall bear on itself all their crookedness to a land cut off. Thus he shall send the goat away into the wilderness. Aaron shall then come into the tent of appointment, and shall take off the linen garments which he put on when he went into the set apart place, and shall leave them there. And he shall bathe his body in water in the set apart place, and shall put on his garments, and shall come out and prepare his ascending offering and the ascending offering of the people, and make atonement for himself and for the people, and burn the fat of the sin offering on the slaughter place. And he who sent away the goat of Azazel washes his garments, and shall bathe his body in water, and afterward he comes into the camp. And the bull for the sin offering, and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood was brought in to make atonement in the set apart place, is brought outside the camp. And they shall burn their skins, and their flesh, and their dung with fire. And he who burns them washes his garments, and shall bathe his body in water, and afterward he comes into the camp. And this shall be for you a law forever. In the 7th new moon, on the 10th day of the new moon, you afflict your beings, and do no work, the native or the stranger who sojourns among you. For on that day he makes atonement for you, to cleanse you, to be clean from all your sins before Yahuwah. It is a Sabbath of rest for you, you shall afflict your beings, a law forever. And the priest who is anointed and ordained to serve as priest in his father's place shall make atonement, and shall put on the linen garments, the set-apart garments. And he shall make atonement for the most set-apart place, and make atonement for all the tent of appointment, and for the slaughter place, and make atonement for the priest, and for the people of the assembly. And this shall be for you a law forever, to make atonement for the children of Israel for all their sins once a year. And he did as Yahuwah commanded Moshe.
Wow, that was good stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, afflict your beings. What do you make of that, guys? For this Day of Atonement, how would you define that? Just curious.
Well, I seen an old movie with Sean Connery called The Name of the Rose, and it was a murder mystery like from the 1200s, and one guy was whipping his back. He was a Catholic priest, but he felt that he had sinned somehow, and he was whipping his own back. I don't think it's that.
For sure, would maybe a fast might be put in there. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming or wanting to know what you guys think, because I'm never really sure on how to observe this to my best ability, on this Day of Atonement. I don't ever really know what to do. Just being open.
Amen, brother. But what I like about it is that it's an atonement, and these people that have this modern Christianity view of there's nothing in the Old Testament about your sins being forgiven until Jesus came along. That's exactly what this is.
Amen.
I thought it was really interesting that he had to put the incense on the fire so that the cloud of incense would cover the mercy seat so that he wouldn't die. Like, talk about dangerous jobs.
And that east side, if you're a Ron Wyatt fan, that east side would be, if you know how the tabernacle is built, the entrance is on the east, so that you have to turn your back to the sun, to the sunrise to enter the holy. And then the menorah is on the south side, but that curtain, the Ark of the Covenant, is behind there, and it's a question: which way is it facing? Because at one point we hear that the staves poke out, and you could see it like near the altar of incense. So which way is it facing? So if it's on the east side, that means that you would enter the curtain on the left, have your little pan, like you see in the Arch of Titus. We see these pans that they use to slide under there and let the smoke rise. The east side would be his right, but as the throne, it would be the left hand of God. And if you believe the Ron Wyatt stuff about the blood coming down the cross through the crack, dropping on the Ark of the Covenant on the right hand side of the Father, where he's seated, it's beautiful, but it's a different teaching.
Interesting.
And quite honestly, I have a question on where this set apart place is. It sounds like the guy is getting down, if not the priest is going to be getting naked to wash himself, if not down to his breeches. It says he shall go, when he lets the one goat go, he comes back and to the set apart place and washes himself. Is that the holies outside by the brazen laver that are supposed to wash entering the holy? And in the apart place, he leaves his garment, a vision of Jesus, his garments in. I want to know what this set apart place is.
You kind of broke up a little bit there. You want to try again, or if not, I'll try and
I think
repeat it.
Is it good now?
No, you're still kind of in and out.
I just got the internet. Probably just the mice probably haven't caught up to speed on the wheel yet. Let me try holding really still and not putting my hand over the microphone. I'm interested in. Can you hear me good?
It's better now.
Yeah, go for it.
Did the what we were as we were reading it said the priest, after he lets the lamb go, the one goat go, he comes back to the set apart place to wash his clothes, and whether he gets completely naked or down to his breeches, where is this set apart place? Is it the holies, or is it out by the brazen laver where they typically wash? It's full of water, and they're supposed to wash before they enter the holies. Well, I'm because it reminded me of Jesus in the tomb, leaving his garments in the tomb.
Oh, right, yeah, Jesus leaving his garments in the tomb, yeah.
Verse
26 says, "He that let go the goat for the scapegoat shall wash his clothes and bathe his flesh in water, and afterward come into the camp." So I think it's a different thing.
Right. But go back a little bit further to the priest after he lets it go, not the guy that actually like takes it.
Verse 23.
Yeah, or just a quick look at. I don't have my glasses on. A quick look for the words "set apart." He said it. You said it at least twice in the reading.
Yeah, he shall come into the tent of appointment, take off the linen garments which he put on when he went into the set apart place. The set apart place is probably the Holy of Holies.
Oh, and then he has to go to that. Read that line again. He's going where?
So he comes out of the Holy of Holies and goes into the tabernacle or the tent of appointment, like out, into the holy place or whatever. And then that's where he takes his clothes off.
And
And
it
then he has
appears
to wash his flesh with water and put on different garments.
and
And
it
then
appears
go make a different offering.
sorry. It appears that the place is inserted there. It just says into the holy.
Wow. I don't know. That's just fun stuff to listen to. Sounds good. Keep it up, brothers. Let's hear some more.
Yeah, the Holy of Holies is the inside part, and then the outside is just the holy. And then we just in English say place.
And burn the fat of the ascending offering. I'm smelling it now. Getting hungry. All right. Moving on to 17. We're going through 1830. You're right. It is a lot of scripture today. Might have to take some breather breaks. Getting lightheaded earlier already.
Do you want me to read for you?
Oh, no, you're good. I got it for now anyways. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to Aaron, to his sons, and to all the children of Israel, and say to him, This is the word which Yahuwah has commanded, saying, Any man from the house of Israel who slays a bull or a lamb or a goat in the camp, or who slays it outside the camp, and does not bring it to the door of the tent of appointment, to bring an offering to Yahuwah before the dwelling place of Yahuwah, blood guilt is reckoned to that man. He has shed blood, and that man shall be cut off from among his people, in order that the children of Israel bring their slaughterings which they slaughter in the open field, and they shall bring them to Yahuwah at the door of the tent of appointment, to the priest, and slaughter them as slaughterings of peace offerings to Yahuwah. And the priest shall sprinkle the blood on the slaughter place of Yahuwah at the door of the tent of appointment, and shall burn the fat for a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. See? I'm telling you, it's sweet fragrance. And let them no longer slaughter their slaughterings to demons, after whom they whored. This is a law forever for them throughout their generations. And say to them, Any man of the house of Israel, or of the strangers who sojourn among you, who offers an ascending offering or slaughtering, and does not bring it to the door of the tent of appointment to do it to Yahuwah, that man shall be cut off from among his people. And any man of the house of Israel, or of the strangers who sojourn among you, who eats any blood, I shall set my face against that being who eats blood, and shall cut him off from among his people. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the slaughter place, to make atonement for your lives. For it is the blood that makes atonement for the life. Therefore I said to the children of Israel, No being among you eats blood, nor any stranger who sojourns among you eat blood. And any man from the children of Israel, or from the strangers who sojourn among you, who hunts and catches any beast or bird which is eaten, shall pour out its blood and cover it with dust. For it is the life of all flesh, its blood is for its life. And I said to the children of Israel, Do not eat the blood of any flesh, for the life of all flesh is its blood. Anyone eating it is cut off. And any being who eats a carcass, or what was torn by a beast, be he a native or a stranger, he shall wash his garments and bathe in water, and shall be unclean until evening. Then he shall be clean. And if he does not wash or bathe his body, then he shall bear his crookedness. End of 17.
That's interesting. That last part where any being who eats a carcass, which I don't know, because it says that Israelites aren't allowed to eat an animal that died of itself. So I don't know. Like, I guess maybe it fell off a cliff and accidentally died. and that's the differentiation here. So
Hmm.
you got that or an animal that was killed by a different animal.
I heard you say
And
eating
then-
a cart.
Yeah, so I guess that would be the only way that you could eat an animal that didn't like get sick and die. Be, you know, if it somehow killed itself or another animal killed it.
King James
And
says,
then that has a different uncleanness. I don't know.
and every soul that eateth which died of itself, which is inserted, but that which died is H5038, a flabby thing, that is, a carcass or carrion, human or bestial, often collective, figuratively an idol, dead body, carcass, dead of itself, and
Yeah, I'm
that
kind of
which died
combining
of
a couple
itself.
spots here.
What's that?
Yeah, I was just kind of combining a couple of different spots. But yeah, I don't know. That's weird. Never noticed that before.
Well, I seen a movie one time. All the boy Native Americans ran off shooting the buffalo, but as soon as they killed the buffalo, they kept going after more and more buffalo, and the women came up from behind and started to skin the buffalo. You know, somebody else killed it. If you're also if you're in the wilderness, like we saw these drawings, there's not, you know, besides your cattle, there may not be much to eat, and you're going to go out hunting. You can't bring back a carcass. You're going to have to dress it out in the field and then bring back, like wrapped in linen, like the hind quarter, you know, the other hind quarter, the ribs, the head and hooves have been tossed, but you can't. It's no longer a carcass. It's now butcher meat. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and quite honestly, I want to throw in there, if you keep something in your refrigerator for 3 days, like leftovers, not like frozen, like you're going to use it later, that, you know, that's against the law too, from Exodus, real early on,
Yeah.
like Exodus 21 or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting. That verse that says, you know, your body won't see corruption, and so that's why it was only 3 days and 3 nights for Jesus. But Lazarus was 4 days, and they were talking about how horrible the smell was, and you know, he's definitely dead. He's not sleeping, and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's interesting the difference between a day.
And you made a point some time ago. I remember it specifically about the command in there. Oh, this is commanded forever. Oh, we better be doing it. Well, what are we going to do? Oh my goodness, we better start slaughtering goats now. It's right there in black and white. Forever. You made a good point. You made a good point one time to us. If I told them to keep this up for 1433 and a half years, they would have known when the Messiah was coming. So yes, they needed to know it was forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Up to 1830.
1830. And I assume that's the end. Yippers.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna take a sip of water. (18:1). And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Do not do as they do in the land of Mitzrayim, where you dwelt. And do not do as they do in the land of Canaan, where I am bringing you, and do not walk in their laws. Do my right rulings and guard my laws, to walk in them. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. And you shall guard my laws and my right rulings, which a man does and lives by them. I am Yahuwah. No one is to approach anyone of his own flesh to uncover his nakedness. I am Yahuwah. The nakedness of your father or the nakedness of your mother you do not uncover. She is your mother. You do not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of your father's wife you do not uncover. It is your father's nakedness. The nakedness of your sister, the daughter of your father, or the daughter of your mother, whether born at home or elsewhere, their nakedness you do not uncover. Oops. The nakedness of your son's daughter, or your daughter's daughter, their nakedness you do not uncover, for theirs is your own nakedness. The nakedness of your father's wife's daughter, brought forth by your father, she is your sister. You do not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of your father's sister you do not uncover. She is your father's flesh. The nakedness of your mother's sister you do not uncover, for she is your mother's flesh. The nakedness of your father's brother you do not uncover. You do not approach his wife. She is your aunt. The nakedness of your daughter-in-law you do not uncover. She is your son's wife. You do not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of your brother's wife you do not uncover. It is your brother's nakedness. The nakedness of a woman and her daughter you do not uncover, nor do you take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness. They are her relatives. It is wickedness. And do not take a woman as a rival to her sister to uncover her nakedness while the other is alive. And do not approach a woman to uncover her nakedness in her monthly separation of uncleanness. And do not have intercourse with the wife of your neighbor to defile yourself with her. And do not give any of your offspring to pass through them to Moloch. And do not profane the name of your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. And do not lie with a male as with a woman. It is abomination. It is an abomination. And do not have intercourse with any beast to defile yourself with it. And a woman does not stand before a beast to mate with it. It is a perversion. Do not defile yourselves with all these, for by all these the nations are defiled, which I am driving out before you. Thus the land become defiled. Therefore I punished it for the crookedness, and the land vomited out its inhabitants. But you shall guard my laws and my right rulings, and not do any of these abominations, the native nor stranger who sojourns among you, because the men of the land who were before you have done all these abominations, and thus the land became defiled. So let not the land vomit you out for defiling it, as it vomited out the nations that were before you. For whoever does any of these abominations, those beings who do them shall be cut off from among their people. And you shall guard my charge, so as not to do any of these abominable laws which were done before you, so as not to defile yourselves before them. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. That's the end of 18.
It all seemed pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Ezekiel 22, 1 through 19.
No one wants to be vomit or lukewarm and spewed. I think we should listen to the best of our ability. You say Ezekiel what? Meow?
It's Ezekiel 22, 1 through 19. And we'll just go through the first Torah portion, and then we'll go to the second one. That way it'll, if there's a theme, maybe at least we can see it.
For sure. Yeah, my bad for starting in the middle. Didn't catch what was going on. All right, Ezekiel 22, 1. Did you say 20, 2 through 20, or is that, no, that's second round.
Yeah, 1 through 19.
1 through 18?
19.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
Yeah.
And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, And now, son of man, judge Judge the city of blood, and you shall show her all her abominations. And you shall say, Thus said the Master Yahuwah, the city sheds blood in her midst, that her time might come, and she has made idols within herself to become defiled. You have become guilty by the blood which you have shed, and have defiled yourself with the idols which you have made. Thus you have brought your days near, and have come to all the end of your years. Therefore I shall make you a reproach to the nations, and a mockery to all the lands. Those near and those far from you mock you. Defiled is your name, and great the confusion. See the leaders of Israel, each one has used his arm to shed blood in you. They have despised father and mother within you. They have oppressed the stranger in your midst. They have wronged the fatherless and the widow within you. You have despised that which is set apart to me, and you have profaned my Sabbaths. Slanderous men have been in you to shed blood. Yeah, that's right. Slanderous men have been in you to shed blood, and in you are those who eat on the mountains. They have done wickedness in your midst. In you they have uncovered the nakedness of a father. In you they have humbled women who are defiled during their uncleanness. And the one has done abomination. And the one has done abomination with his neighbor's wife. And another has wickedly defiled his daughter-in-law. And another within you has humbled his sister, his father's daughter. In you they have taken a bride to shed blood. You have taken interest in increase. You have cut off your neighbor by extortion. And you have forgotten me, declares the Master Yahuwah. And see, I shall strike my hand because of your greedy gain which you have made, and at the bloodshed which has been in your midst. Would your heart stand, your hands be strong, in the days when I deal with you? I, Yahuwah, have spoken, and shall do it. And I shall scatter you among the nations, and shall disperse you throughout the lands, and shall consume your filthiness out of you, and shall profane yourself before the eyes of the nations, and you shall know that I am Yahuwah. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, the house of Israel has become dross to me. All of them are bronze, and tin, and iron, and lead, in the midst of a furnace. They have become the dross of silver. That's good. I don't know if I've ever explained it on any of these portions, but there's a comparison of God and us and refining us. You know, like refining silver. You put heat to it, then you look down, and then you scoop out any dross, and then you get it out of there, and you heat it back up, remove dross, and you repeat this process until you can look down and see your reflection. So God does this to us, and he keeps removing the dross till he can, look down and see his reflection in us. And I always thought that was a really cool way of looking at it. I didn't know that about it. So it put, context to this verses when it talks about silver and removing the dross.
Yeah, it's a great picture.
Anybody got anything on Ezekiel 22 here? There's some good stuff.
Right, yeah, it was pretty good.
All right.
Romans 3, 19 through 28.
All right. Romans 3:19. And we know that whatever the Torah says, it says those who are in the Torah, so that every mouth might be stopped, and all the world come under judgment before Elohim. Therefore, by works of the Torah, no flesh shall be declared right before Elohim. For by the Torah is the knowledge of sin. But now, apart from the Torah, a righteousness of Elohim has been revealed, being witnessed by the Torah and the prophets. And the righteousness of Elohim is through belief in Yeshua Messiah to all and on all who believe. For there is no difference, for all have sinned and fall short of the esteem of Elohim, being declared right without paying by his favor through the redemption which is in Messiah Yeshua, whom Elohim set forth as an atonement through belief in his blood to demonstrate his righteousness, because in his tolerance Elohim had passed over the sins that had taken place before, and to demonstrate at the present time his righteousness, that he is righteousness and declares righteousness the one who has belief in Yeshua. When, then, is the boasting? It is shut out. By what Torah? Of works? No, but by the Torah of belief. For we reckon that a man is declared right by belief without works of Torah. That's good.
Nailed it.
Nailed
Amen.
it.
I mean, everybody on the Day of Atonement, like the only one that actually had to do something was the priesthood. So everybody else didn't have to do any work because it was the Sabbath. But they were still declared righteous. They just had to believe in that atonement sacrifice. Oh, somebody wants to say hi.
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 So we're definitely not saved by our works. I mean, we are saved by faith, but our faiths, our fruits will be obedience if we're walking in faith. We don't do it for salvation. We do it for obedience.
Oh, absolutely. He makes it clear that there's nothing that he saved us, not because of anything we did, but to glorify his name, to say that, hey, he kept his promise no matter how bad we were, he was still able to do it.
Yep.
Do we all know Canaan? Do we all know the sin of Canaan? Do we all know Noah's son or grandson? Do we all know that story? Are we clear after reading the laws on, do not uncover the nakedness of your mother, it belongs to your father? Do we all catch that? Do we all know that teaching? The nakedness that was Noah's nakedness wasn't Noah drunk nude on a couch or bed. Noah's nakedness was his wife. So Cain and Canaan is the one that did it. So when Noah saw that, when Noah found out about it, that's why he cursed Canaan so badly, and that's who came out to be the Canaanites who did all those terrible. He listed those whose nakedness you can see or not. He listed those and said that these Canaanites are doing all of these things, and that's why they're getting the land is spewing them out. And you're going to go in there and take out that land. Don't do these things lest you be spewed out as well. But I just wanted to make sure we're all clear on the Noah teaching of Canaan, and that it was Noah's nakedness was actually his wife.
That would definitely make sense there.
Okay, good.
I'm pretty sure that
I didn't want to sound like a preachy Mr. Know-it-all. I just want to make sure we're all up to speed on what we're reading here.
I remember us doing a video on it. Like
thank goodness.
The Torah portions, because I'm pretty sure Kaylee was there too.
And to throw in my 2 cents as somebody who is, I won't even describe it. We also read in Ezekiel, the city of blood. Is that Sodom and Gomorrah, Zebulon, and whatever the force is? That city of blood talking about Sodom and Gomorrah, that he destroyed them, and he gave the reasons. They did not, the city of blood that he destroyed. If he is talking about Sodom, he specifically says they were not taking care, they were not honoring their mother and father, they were not taking care of the stranger, and they were haughty. These are the reasons Ezekiel is given for the destruction of Sodom, if I'm not mistaken, which would be in direct contradiction to somebody that would try to point out that the word Sodom actually comes from something, and I would state that we need to look at that a little bit closer.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think it's in Ezekiel 22. I skimmed the chapter, but I didn't see it. I may have missed it.
Yeah, because it's whenever people say specifically it was because of what they were doing, what the men were doing to each other, we have to point out that the that they were after angels, they were after strange flesh. If you're after your own flesh, the same gender, that's not strange to you. I know what my own gender flesh looks like. They were after angels, and at some point, we always bring up that Ezekiel gives the reasons on why Sodom was destroyed, and it's never anything to do with procreation. I heard a kid in here. I'm trying to be clean on this as I can. When we were reading it, it sounded like Exodus. It sounded like Ezekiel 22 was 1 through 19 was that there was a part in there where he gave the specifics on Sodom, but I might be mistaken.
Google says it's Ezekiel 16, so I'd have to look at it.
Okay, that's good then. Like I say, I wanted to throw my 2 cents in there because of my dogma. I don't care to like make it part of our Sabbath discussion. I just wanted to make sure it was like on the record or whatever. Since we read, since it sounded the same thing in 22.
Yeah, so as I live, saith the Lord God, Sodom thy sister hath not done, nor she her daughters, as thou hast done, thou and thy daughters. This was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom. Pride, fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. They were haughty and committed abomination before me. Therefore I took them away as I saw.
And then there's a couple of similarities between what we just read. Not very many, but a couple similarities. That's the only thing that caught my attention also. So we can move on. I don't want to dwell.
What did you just read, Deezer?
Ezekiel 16:48 through 50.
Gotcha. I caught up to you about the time you were done reading. All right, Romans 9:30. Israel's unbelief. What shall we say then? That nations not following after righteousness have obtained righteousness, even the righteousness of belief? But Israel, following after the Torah of righteousness, has not arrived at the Torah of righteousness. Why? Because it was not of belief, but as by works of Torah. For they stumbled at the stone of stumbling. As it has been written, see, I lay in Zion a stone of stumbling, and a rock that makes for falling. And everyone who is believing on him shall not be put to shame. Then it goes through 10 something, waiting for the ticker. 13. Truly, brothers, my heart's desire and prayer to Elohim for Yisrael is for deliverance. For I bear them witness that they have an ardor for Elohim, but not according to knowledge. For not knowing the righteousness of Elohim and seeking to establish their own righteousness, they did not subject themselves to the righteousness of Elohim. For Messiah is the goal of the Torah unto righteousness to everyone who believes. For Moshe writes about the righteousness which is of the Torah. The man who does these shall live by them. But the righteousness of belief speaks in this way. Do not say in your heart, who shall ascend into the heavens? That is to bring Messiah down. Or who shall descend into the abyss? That is to bring Messiah up from the dead. But what does it say? The word is near you, in your mouth and in your heart. That is the word of belief, which we are proclaiming, that if you confess with your mouth the Master Yeshua, and believe in your heart that Elohim has raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. For with the heart one believes unto righteousness, and one confesses with the mouth, and so is saved. But the scripture says, whoever puts his trust in him shall not be put to shame, because there is no distinction between Yehudi or Greek, for the same master of all is rich to all those calling upon him. For everyone who calls on the name of Yeshua shall be saved.
All right, and
There it is.
Galatians 3:10-14. It's 4 verses. 5
You
verses.
talking, Deezer?
Yeah.
You're pretty quiet for some reason.
Galatians 3:10-14. Am I still quiet?
I think it's better now. Galatians 3:10-14. The righteous shall live by faith. For as many as are of works of Torah are under the curse. For it has been written, cursed is everyone who does not continue in all that has been written in the book of the Torah to do them. And that no one is declared right by Torah before Elohim is clear, for the righteous shall live by belief. And the Torah is not of belief, but the man who does live by them, the man who does them shall live by them. Messiah redeemed us from the curse of the Torah, having become a curse for us. For it has been written, cursed is everyone who hangs upon a tree, in order that the blessing of Abraham might come upon the nations in Messiah Yeshua to receive the promise of the Spirit through belief. So what's the curse of the Torah here? The curse is not obeying it.
The curse is
I
death.
think people often misinterpret this here, but I find that they're often way off in that interpretation.
Yeah.
Versus the curse of the law of sin and death.
That's what we've been freed from. Romans 8:2, I believe. For Christ has freed us from the law of sin and death, not the law of Moshe or my righteous rulings. No, I don't think so.
He did.
What's that, Mike?
I got too much to say. I don't want to go off.
Go for it. You're good. You're welcome here, bro.
Right? We still got another.
I guess we need to have a clear understanding. Like you guys said, he did away with what? The death? Say again, what did he do away with?
The law of sin and death.
The law of sin and death. What do you mean? There's no more sin, or what do you mean?
Well,
The second death. So the curse of, sin equals death. And obviously we have a mortal body that has to die, but it's talking about the second death. So that's what we've been freed from, is that Yeshua was the first fruits of many brethren. So now he has all authority in heaven and earth. And then at the first resurrection, he has the power to resurrect the dead into eternal life.
Okay, so we still do sacrifices. He did away with sin and death. You said the death meaning the second death. So we're all appointed once to die. We still have a priesthood. We want a stone temple. We want to try and do sacrifices.
Well, obviously there's no ordained temple on the ground, and the next temple comes that wasn't made by hands, it's created by God. So there's a temple in heaven, there's just not one on the ground
where they do sacrifices.
That's what Hebrews says.
Yeah, Hebrews, read if someone wants to pull up Hebrews 8, it talks about Yeshua being a high priest.
But there's all sorts of opinions on this subject.
Yes, well, it's something that in the past year I've been thinking about. It takes a lot to unwrap it and get your mind wrapped around that idea.
Yeah, sorry, Mike. We're all Book of the Law here.
No, it's fine. I'm I'm kind of showing you your own background before I try to present to you how I picture it. I assumed everybody pictured it this way, but like I say, I don't want to get on. I don't want to. Let me try to talk like you guys talk. You guys listen and you guys speak good. I want to try and do that. I don't want to start yelling in this microphone because I'll get passionate. I will get passionate, man. But do we all? I don't. Uh, Moses was up and down that mountain 7 times, 8 if you count the non-burning bush. Do we are we all good on that so far? We don't have the Ten Commandments movie in our head where he went up one time, got the 10 Commandments, and then 613 more were somehow added in there, and now to this very day we're trying to discern between which ones we should follow or not. You don't believe he was up there one time, do you? Do we all understand it was 7? I mean, many times, but I've counted it's 7. 8 if you count the non-burning bush. Are we all on board so far, or is this new to you guys?
I know there's at least a couple for sure. It wasn't just one.
Good. Okay, he went up there the first time. When he got there, God called him up and he says, sanctify the people and get ready against the third day, have them wash their clothes and themselves, and set boundaries around the mountain. So he came down, told the people, sanctify yourselves 3 days, wash clothes, wash yourselves, and don't come against your wives. He left out the part about setting bounds around the mountain. He added the part, don't come against your wives. So all of a sudden, everybody, 2 million people, 1,600,000 men are not going to be having sex or doing anything until the command is changed. Moses, and so the people got sanctified, and God called him up the mountain. And he says, if you listen and obey he called him on the mountain and he says, go down and charge the people to set boundaries around the mountain. And Moses argues with him. He says, I did. I told him, I told him to set bounds around the mountain. And God says, no, you didn't. Go down and tell him to set bounds around the mountain and don't let anybody come up, but come up with Aaron and Nadab and Abihu, and we'll have a little feast up here and everything. And Moses is like, I told him, and God says, go, get thee down. So he goes down, and the scripture isn't real clear on it. It says, and Moses spoke to the people. And the next line is the 10 Commandments, Exodus 20. And God said, I am the Lord your God, you have no other gods before me. He gives the 10 Commandments. The people back off and say, we never want to hear God talk to us again like this, with the thunderings, the lightnings. It even says in the KJV, they saw the thunderings. That's when lightning hits right next to you. There's no delay. There's a sound, and okay, so they saw this, and they said, we don't want to. You go up there, Moses, and whatever he tells you, we will do and obey. So Moses went up there a third time, and this is after they all had the 10 Commandments. Don't make any idols. Okay, he goes up there the third time, and he gets the Exodus 20 through 24:8 on, which you can read on your own. That's the actual blood covenant. He comes down the mountain and writes the words down, finds some guys that were killing some bulls, takes half the blood and pours it on the altar. The other half, he uses, we read in Deuteronomy, he actually takes hyssop and water and dips it in the blood and anoints the people. That's why blood and water came out of Jesus' side. He is the renewed blood covenant, only we're not going to kill a bull and sprinkle it on the people anymore. We're going to take a sip of wine, and that is going to be our toast to trying to get grafted into this original blood covenant of Exodus 20 to 24:8. And so we all agree to it. We are now in a blood covenant where there is no priesthood. There's nothing about building a tabernacle. There is no sacrificial system except for the one sacrifice we are to do at Passover. Shavuot is there. Tabernacles is there. No sacrifices involved with them at all are there, or nor any tabernacle or temple needed for these at that actual blood covenant. Moses takes it back up the mountain, but he never told the people, okay, now you can come at your wives. So these people couldn't last 40 days of the command, do not come against your wives. They couldn't last 40 days. They had to Moses is dead. Moses and Aaron Moses was the Elohim to the father. He was Elohim to Pharaoh. Aaron was his mouthpiece. So we had these two small g gods, Elohim, over the people, knowing that there was one father. Well, the people revolted and wanted to come against their wives and built actually two golden calves. They built a golden calf, but it's Apis and Hathor. These are messenger gods to the god Ra. So they said Moses is gone 40 days. He's got no food up there. It's a furnace. He's gone. We're going to make a new Moses and Aaron, but we are still going to worship the Father. We understand there is one Father. So it was never like they made the golden calf against the Father. They did it against the Father's mouthpiece and spokesperson. So Moses comes down, and in the meantime, God has given the commands on how to build the tabernacle, the priesthood, and their sacrifices, because he knows. But the people have not agreed to that. We have agreed to a previous blood covenant, and we broke it immediately. So we required the death penalty. All 2 million, all 600 men, whatever, not counting women and children, were to require the death penalty. But he had made a deal with Abraham saying, I will make your seed like the stars. And so he had to come up with a solution, and that's the sacrificial system, a placeholder that until a solution was made. And since it was I believe Yeshua, Jesus, that was at Mount Sinai, given the testator of those commandments, and a third independent person that has never broken the commandments cannot die for another person's sins. But the testator can say the testatee broke the law, and they are required to die, but I will die in their place. That's why we are through his death, burial, and resurrection, we are renewed into this original blood covenant, and there's no sacrificial system, no priesthood. So the curse that we had was this sacrificial system, and they did it. They wanted to do it to such a perfect way that they over perfected it, and that's what God is angry about in our readings. You guys were doing it like by the law, like, oh, make sure that red heifer doesn't have one white hair on it, or that unblemished male lamb of the first year weaned. They didn't even understand weaned. To this day, they still think that means don't use milk to boil a kid. It's not that. It's in its mother's milk. It's sucking off of its teat. It's going to have its mother's milk in its belly if you pull it off the nipple and kill it. You could kill a 2-week-old lamb according to their rules. No, there's a minimum. It's weaned. But these people were finding fault with it, and the father of the household was supposed to kill the lamb himself, not the priests. But now they took it to the temple, and you would put a tag in the ear with a number on it. And that tag number in the ear of that lamb that you chose, you give to the priest for 4 days. You're supposed to keep it up in your house for 4 days. But they had given it to the priest with a tag in its ear. And then you had a ticket in your hand matching that number. And you would go get it on Passover, or you would just view it. Hey, take your grandson. Hey, let's go look at the lamb that we picked. The priests are holding it for us. No, you're supposed to keep the lamb in your house. Exodus 12, and keep it up for 4 days. That's why it's so important on this Last Supper being on the 11th of the Aviv that he's telling us, do this in memory of me. This is on the day that you choose the lamb. So instead of choosing a lamb, we choose Jesus. Instead of sacrificing a lamb, we eat bread. Instead of that, he was the manna, and he said, I was the manna. That's me. You were eating. But we just read, for God's sakes, don't ever eat the blood. What do Catholics do? They are literally eating the body and the blood of Christ because Jesus said so. I get it, but no, that's not what he's talking about. The Feast of Unleavened Bread was commanded forever, not Passover. The Feast of Unleavened Bread has a special meal attached to it called Passover. It's like bone and marrow, or marrow and tendon, or whatever. God can separate it, but man cannot, because the tendon grows out of the marrow. You would never be able to separate it, but he has separated the Passover meal from the Feast of Unleavened Bread. We now do something different. Instead of this dumb old lamb we did for 1400 years, but we still do how do we do the Feast of Unleavened Bread? Well, the exact same way we did it before, only we have a little dinner with family and friends on the 11th of the Aviv. We all choose Jesus. We talk about Jesus. We keep it up for 4 days. Maybe we wash a foot or two. We leaven bread for those 3 days. But those little points in there, those 3 little points are in there where it says, don't boil a kid in your mother's milk. It also says at that exact same time, do not delay to offer your first fruits to me. So we know exactly how to do Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. You just don't have any leaven in any of your households. To do the Feast of Unleavened Bread, you're supposed to go to Jerusalem. So don't even tell me, oh, we're doing it in Omaha, Nebraska, but we're going to break the shank bone of the lamb to let God know that we're not really doing Passover. No, you're missing the whole point. Deuteronomy 12:21 tells us what to do if Jerusalem is too far away. You throw a party, you invite pagans, and you serve clean food. What's so hard about that? That sounds like fun to me. And it's a perfect opportunity. How do you think Moses met that Nubian girl and married her? She was an outsider. These people don't associate with outsiders. It's a command. You do not associate with them, except when you're too far away from Jerusalem to go there. Deuteronomy 14 tells us what to do if it's too far for our sacrifice. Like if you live in the land of Israel, but you can't take your lamb there, you just sell your sacrifice into your own home, take the money, bind it up in your hand, go to Jerusalem, have a good time. It does not say sell your sacrifice at home, take the money, bind it up in your hand, go to Jerusalem and buy another lamb. It says, even unto strong drink, buy whatever your heart, it literally says in the KJV, whatever your heart lusts after. But that comes with the understanding that it is Torah observant lusts. It does not say that you go run off and get stoned like Spicoli and Fast Times at Ridgemont High and shoot up heroin or whatever. You do it in a respectful manner, and it's for 12 days. It's not a 1-day Passover event. It's not a 7 or 8 day Passover event. It is a 12-day Feast of Unleavened Bread event. Man, I am passionate. Forgive me, brothers.
I've missed your passion.
Just forgive me.
There's nothing to forgive, man. Like, you get passionate. Like, we've all been to Midrash before. We know how passionate it gets.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
This is a safe place. We're all heretics here.
I can tell you, man, there's people I just want to I want to tell Catholics, step out of yourself just for a moment and look at what you're doing. You're eating, the priest is handing it to you saying, this is the body of Christ. The beliefs of the Catholics are, it is literally the body of Christ in every shape, way, or form, except what you see. You will see it as a wafer, but by the process of the Holy Mass, they have sanctified it. At the beginning of Mass, the wafers and the water is and wine is given to the priest, and we say, we hope you accept the sacrifice. You accept this sacrifice, and through the course of the Mass, that wine, water, and wafers changed. They are sanctified. They are changed into the literal blood, as if it came out. The living Jesus is here on earth, realizing this man, and they need to step out of themselves and look at what they're doing and say, look, those people are they think they're Jesus. But I believe that this nation, I can't believe people, a culture, anybody, a human could allow somebody to continue that. I've never been so disgusted, and I don't know where it's coming from. I really didn't care just too long, but it's It's so disgusting to me. Don't eat the blood. We just read it, and that's what triggered me. Don't eat the blood. How much clearer can it be? Oh, we're just, and the Protestants, we're just symbolically eating his body and drinking his blood. He said to eat, you're going to have to eat my flesh and drink my blood. My body is meat indeed. My meat indeed. My blood is indeed. You are going to have to. And it's like, what is he talking about? Well, he's speaking the words of the Father. The Father's flesh and blood is, the Father is spirit. The Father's flesh and blood was Jesus. That's the best you're going to get to see the Father, was our Yeshua. That's the best, and it's not even him completely, otherwise we would die. But the Father's flesh and blood is Jesus. We're going to have to eat that Passover lamb. How do we eat it? We break bread. We drink wine. The wine did not change to blood. The wine was wine, and it was a glass that 12 guys, 11 guys sipped out of. It wasn't a bottle. They all had each. It is a toast. It's a toast. Instead of sprinkling the blood on us and the altar and the words of the covenant that he wrote down, we are now just doing sipping and chilling with family and friends and for 12 days. It's so beautiful and fun and easy. People will say, well, it can't be like that. It's got to be hard. No, there's not 613. There's probably a zillion more, but quite honestly, it's a simple reading. It's not just the 10 commandments. There's the feasts, the diet, the priesthood, and the sacrifices are done away with. Thank God for Daniel 9:27. He, the prince, the Messiah to come, the prince in the future, the Messiah that came in our past. It is the same person, but it's two different people at two different times. The Messiah, comma, the prince, and he, the prince, will put an end to the daily oblations and sacrifices. That's a good thing. The prediction by Daniel is not the Antichrist putting an end to these oblations at a future 7-year tribulation where halfway through the temple is desecrated, just like, the one spoken of by Daniel the prophet, let him who reads it, understand. No, that happened in 68 AD. There's no, Jesus never liked the stone temple. He said he was going to destroy, he's talking about himself, but he says he's going to destroy it and bring it up in 3 days. The temple is his body in us, the Spirit given at Pentecost, Shavuot. We now have the truth within us. I see these people, the Catholics or Protestants, that love Jesus so much, but they don't know him. Well, thank God for them, because those of us that have come to the truth seem to have lost this love. And we just want this truth. Oh, it was 70 weeks, and oh, it was in 68 AD, and the scarlet ribbon never turned white again for 40 years. Oh, let's build another temple. Oh, the Jews are going back to Jerusalem. No, what the hell? Their Messiah came. They missed their time of his visitation. I'm not even going to throw in my chart in there. I'll sound like I'm selling you something. They even think that there's a single triumphal entry when there was three. If people knew that there was 3 triumphal entries or 3 different cities, and they knew that they all aligned on him having a Last Supper on Aviv 11, it would kill Roman Catholicism, Protestantism, Judaism, and Muslim. It would kill their religion. They would have no defense against it. The time is short. He's coming soon, or something big is happening soon. And I don't mean like a zombie apocalypse. I mean something biblical. I don't know if it's him. It's something big is coming soon. It's not. We're not going to go out into the wilderness for 3.5 years while we're not going to go to heaven and watch grandma suffer here on earth because she was Catholic for 3.5 years, because there's a 7-year marriage feast in heaven. God, I'm rambling, man. Jared, Yahoo, you gotta stop me, brother. You gotta stop.
What if it isn't a zombie apocalypse, because the dead in Christ shall rise first?
Right, and maybe it's a preparation, like SUVs became popular because all of a sudden we're going to need tanks in urban warfare, so we need to acclimate the people to giant vehicles. Yeah, what if it is the zombie apocalypse and they're like, we are consciously prepped for seeing gross people walk around, and we have to tell them about Jesus, otherwise they could kill us. But if we're going to live forever at the resurrection, maybe they can just hurt us. Like Hitler's resurrected, and for 1,000 years he gets kicked in the shin. Well, he might be repentant after 1,000 years, or he might have been able to apologize to every man, woman, and child he harmed in that 1,000 years. I don't know. I'm just saying there's so much going on so quickly. When they say knowledge is going to increase and communications, and they try to give the example of, oh, the internet, you can talk to somebody from around the world, zip zip. Well, yeah, we knew that in the 70s with satellite, via satellite. Howard Cosell would be talking from Argentina, and we would see him live. There'd be a little bit of a delay because it had to hit the satellite first. We've known the telephone back in the 40s, the 30s. Oh, communication. I think it's the communication of what the hell's going on in the Bible. There's so many people all over the world, all over the map on what the Bible is all about. I think that knowledge is going to come to a head very quick, that type of knowledge. I'm sorry to cut you off, brother. Go ahead.
Nope, you're good. You're good, man. But next scripture is Amos 9:7. We can go ahead and get through these scriptures, and then we can rabbit hole wherever we want to go. All right, Amos 9:7 through 15. I like this. Amos 9:11 is one of my favorite verses. Are you not the people of Cush to me, O children of Israel? Declares Yahuwah. Did I not bring up Israel from the land of Mitzrayim, and the Philistines from Caphtor, and Aram from Ker? Look, the eyes of the Master Yahuwah are on the sinful reign, and I shall destroy it from the face of the earth, except that I do not completely destroy the house of Jacob, declares Yahuwah. For look, I am commanding, and I shall sift through the house of Israel among all the nations, as one sifts with a sieve, yet not a grain falls to the ground. All the sinners of my people are going to die by the sword, those who are saying, evil does not overtake us nor meet us. In that day I shall raise up the booth of David, which is fallen down, and I shall repair its breaches, and raise up its ruins, and I shall build it as in the days of old, so that they possess the remnant of Edom, and all the nations on whom my name is called, declares Yahuwah who does this. Look, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes him who sows seed. And the mountains shall drip new wine, and the hills melt. And I shall turn back the captivity of my people Yisrael, and they shall build the waste cities and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and drink wine from them, and shall make gardens and eat their fruit. And I shall plant them on their own soil, and not uproot them any more from their own soil I have given them, said Yahuwah your Elohim. That's a good promise. I can't help of him, just gathering his people back and pulling Israel back in, getting them together, raising up this tabernacle of David. I don't know. It's just a beautiful picture in my head.
That's where I was going with these stone temple rebuildings. It's because of that prophecy. They think that in addition to many other things, they will use that prophecy. Notice you said in your correct reading, booth. This could be David's talit. This could be David's tabernacle for Sukkot, or it could be David when he rebuilt the wilderness tabernacle. But it can't be a stone temple if Jesus was so dead set against that. So if it is, so to me it sounds like it's David's Sukkot. If Ezekiel says in the millennial reign of Jesus, we're going to have to go up to see him in Jerusalem once a year for Sukkot, otherwise it's not going to rain on us. It sounds like we're going to be able to endure pain because no rain is going to hurt us. And it sounds like he's going to be, we know that through the Psalms that he is going to be from his throne in Jerusalem, but David's Sukkot or Talit or wilderness tabernacle rebuilt sounds a lot like David will be resurrected and will be Sukkoting there, in my opinion.
I think of about the Tent of Appointment And this is outside of the temple where we go and we dwell with God, but not in the tabernacle. That's what I see here. I see it as like the body of the church getting together, worshiping, praising him, singing praise, but not in the temple, just outside the temple where he meets with us. And what I kind of see in my head, this booth of David is this tent of appointment. I don't know, my 2 cents.
No, that's genius. I love it. I'm going to dwell on that all week. I'm going to think about that. That's beautiful.
Thanks. And, you know, and that's part of the vision of him, you know, bringing his people back and getting them, you know, doing church and praising, worshiping him, getting them dwelling, becoming friends of God, you know. It's not just about obedience. He wants to know us and have a relationship with us. I don't know.
No, yeah, you're correct. The obedience part has been taken to such an extreme. When we first, I'm sure us here in this chat, when we first learned about Torah, we probably thought we would have to wear a yarmulke, a hat. We probably thought we had to, I don't know, not boil a kid in its own milk or something. But we find out that they have distorted the scriptures just as much as the modern day Christianity has.
For sure. We were referencing Ezekiel 20 earlier, and that's what's next.
Yeah. 20, verse 2 through 20. I mean, you can read the first one if you want. Seventh year, 5th month, 5:10.
All right, I'll start there. And it came to be in the 7th year, in the 5th moon, on the 10th of the new moon, that certain of the elders of Israel came to inquire of Yahuwah, and sat before me. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, speak to the elders of Israel, and say to them, Thus said the Master Yahuwah, Have you come to inquire of me? As I live, I am not being inquired of by you, declares the Master Yahuwah. Judge them, Son of man, judge them. Make known to them the abominations of their fathers. And you shall say to them, Thus said the Master Yahuwah, on the day when I chose Yisrael, and lifted my hand in an oath to the seed of the house of Jacob, and made myself known to them in the land of Mitzrayim, I lifted my hand in an oath to them, saying, I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. On that day I lifted my hand in an oath to them, to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim, into a land that I searched out for them, flowing with milk and honey, the splendor of all lands. And I said to them, each one of you, throw away the abominations which are before his eyes, and do not defile yourselves with the idols of Mitzrayim. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. But they rebelled against me, and would not obey me. All of them did not throw away the abominations which were before their eyes, nor did they forsake the idols of Mitzrayim. So I resolved to pour out my wrath on them, to complete my displeasure against them in the midst of the land of Mitzrayim. But I acted for my name's sake, that it should not be profaned before the eyes of the nations among whom they were, before whose eyes I had made myself known to them, to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim. And going to 20, right?
Yep.
So I took them out of the land of Mitzrayim, and I brought them into the wilderness, and I gave them my laws, and showed them my right rulings, which, if a man does, he shall live by them. And I also gave them my Sabbaths, to be a sign between them and me, to know that I am Yahuwah, who sets them apart. But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. They did not walk in my laws, and they rejected my right rulings, which, if a man does, he shall live by them. And they greatly profaned my Sabbaths. Then I said I would pour out my wrath on them in the wilderness to consume them. But I acted for my name's sake, not to profane it before the nations, before whose eyes I had brought them out. And I myself also lifted my hand in an oath to them in the wilderness, not to bring them into the land which I had given them, flowing with milk and honey, the splendor of all the lands. because they rejected my right rulings and did not walk in my laws, and they profaned my Sabbaths, for their heart went after their idols. And my eye pardoned them from destroying them, and I did not make an end of them in the wilderness. And I said to their children in the wilderness, do not walk in the laws of our fathers, nor observe their rulings, nor defile yourselves with their idols. I am Yahuwah your Elohim. Walk in my laws, and guard my right rulings, and do them. And set apart my Sabbaths, and they shall be a sign between me and you, to know that I am Yahuwah your Elohim. There you have it. Not my words, but his.
That's just like, it's like the warm up to just one of the greatest chapters in the Bible,
I know.
in my humble opinion. I love this chapter.
It's good stuff.
It's super long. I don't want to make you read it all.
Well, we don't have a whole lot, but I can totally do it. You want me to?
Yeah, it gets into the greater Exodus, and yeah, it's amazing. And,
I get
I
past
mean, you know, you have a good reading voice, so it would be pretty awesome if you did.
Thanks, buddy. But I
Yeah.
held back my hand and acted for my name's sake, not to profane it before the eyes of the nations, before whose eyes I had brought them out. Also, I myself lifted my hand in an oath to those in the wilderness, to scatter them among the nations and disperse them throughout all the lands, because they had not done my right rulings, and they rejected my laws, and they profaned my Sabbaths, and their eyes were on their fathers' idols. And I also gave them up to laws that were not good, and right rulings by which they would not live. And I defiled them by their own gifts, as they passed all their firstborn through the fire, so that I might stun them, so that they know that I am Yahuwah. Therefore, Son of Man, speak to the house of Israel, and you shall say to them, thus said Master Yahuwah, in this your fathers have further reviled me by committing trespass against me. When I brought them into the land for which I had lifted my hand in an oath to give them, and they saw all the high hills and all the thick trees, they slaughtered their slaughterings there, and provoked me with their offerings there. And they sent up their sweet fragrance there, and poured out their drink offerings there. And I said to them, what is this high place to which you go? So its name is called High Place to this day. Therefore say to the house of Israel, thus said the Master Yahuwah, are you defiling yourselves in the way of your fathers? And do you whore after their abominations? For when you lift up your gifts and make your sons pass through the fire, you defile yourselves with all your idols, even to this day. And shall I be inquired of by you, O house of Israel? As I live, declares the Master Yahuwah, I am not being inquired of by you. And what comes up in your spirit shall never be, when you say, let us be like the nations, like the tribes in the other lands, serving wood and stone. As I live, declares the Master Yahuwah, do not I, with a mighty hand, with an outstretched arm, and with wrath poured out, reign over you? And I shall bring you out from the peoples and gather you out by the lands where you are scattered, with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with wrath poured out. Great and terrible day of the Lord is saving and destroying all at the same time, sifting. And I shall bring you into the wilderness of the peoples, and shall enter into the judgment with you face to face there. As I entered into judgment with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Mitzrayim, so I shall enter into judgment with you, declares the Master Yahuwah. And I shall make you pass under the rod, and shall bring you into the bond of the covenant, and purge the rebels from among you, and those who transgress against me. From the land where they sojourn I bring them out, but they shall not come into the land of Israel, and you shall know that I am Yahuwah. As for you, O house of Israel, thus said the Master Yahuwah, go, serve each of you his idols, and afterwards, if you are not listening to me, but you do not profane my set-apart name any more with your gifts and your idols. For on my set-apart mountain, on the mountain height of Israel, declares the Master Yahuwah, that all the house of Israel, all of them in the land, shall serve me. There I shall accept them, and there I shall require your offerings, and the firstfruits of your offerings, together with all your set-apart gifts. As a sweet fragrance I shall accept you when I bring you out from the peoples. And I shall gather you out of the lands where you have been scattered, and I shall be set apart in you before the nations. And you shall know that I am Yahuwah when I bring you into the land of Israel, into the land for which I lifted my hand in an oath to give them to their fathers. And there you shall remember your ways and all your deeds with which you were defiled, and you shall loathe yourselves in your own sight because of all the evils that you did. And you shall know that I am Yahuwah when I have dealt with you for my name's sake, not according to your evil ways, nor according to your corrupt deeds, O house of Israel, declares the Master Yahuwah. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face toward the south, and drop word against the south, and prophesy against the forest land, the south. And you shall say to the forest of the south, Hear the word of Yahuwah. Thus said the Master Yahuwah, See, I am kindling a fire in you, and it shall devour every green tree and every dry tree in you. The blazing flame is not quenched. And it shall burn all faces from the south to the north, and all flesh shall see that I, Yahuwah, have kindled it. It is not quenched. And I said, Ah, Master Yahuwah, they are saying of me, Is he not speaking parables? And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face toward Jerusalem, and drop word against the set-apart places, and prophesy against the land of Israel. And you shall say to the land of Israel, Thus said Yahuwah, See, I am against you, and I shall draw my sword out of its sheath, and cut off from you the righteous and the wrong. Because I shall cut off from you the righteous and the wrong, therefore my sword shall go out of its sheath against all flesh from north to south. And all flesh shall know that I, Yahuwah, have drawn my sword out of its sheath, not to turn back again. And you, son of man, sigh with the breaking of loins, and sigh with bitterness before their eyes. And it shall be, when they say to you, Why are you sighing? That you shall say, Because of the report that is coming. And every heart shall melt, and all the hands shall go limp, and every spirit become faint, and all knees be weak as water. See, it is coming, and it shall be, declares the Master Yahuwah. You want me to keep going here, Deezer? Is it
No, like I just like chapter 20 was all I was talking about. I just thought you were so interested, you just kept going.
Oh, well, you know,
I told you it was good. It's so good you can't stop. Like
That was good. That is good.
That's great. All right, Matthew 5. Uh-oh, getting dangerous.
talking about speaking in parables and yeah. Son of man.
All right. I'm going to get a drink of water here.
Delivering the harsh news.
I like that your version says Master Yahuwah. Is Yahuwah y'all's name for the Father?
That's what I prefer to say, but I'm not one of
No. I
those
just
that
want to.
say,
Yeah, I just want to distinguish between that and the Son. But you do. I like the words Master Yahuwah.
mm-hmm.
Because of Greta Van Fleet's new song "Meet the Master." You'll have to look at the lyrics instead of listening to the song to appreciate it.
Cool, I will.
All right, I've hit it.
And 33, let me see where we're going again. 33 through 48, I think. 33 through 48.
Yes. I guess I could have helped you with that.
Nope, you're good. And again, you heard that it was said to those of old, You shall not swear falsely, but shall perform your oaths to Yahuwah. But I say to you, do not swear at all, neither by the heaven, because it is Elohim's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, nor by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great sovereign, nor swear by your head, because you are not able to make one hair white or black. But let your word yes be yes, and your no be no. And what goes beyond these is from the wicked one. You heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. This was the principle for the judges to follow, while Yeshua speaks in the next. Oh, that's footnote. But I say to you, do not resist the wicked, but whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other to him also. And he who wishes to sue you and take away your inner garment, let him have your outer garment as well. And whoever compels you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. Give him who asks of you, and from him who wishes to borrow from you, do not turn away. It doesn't say, if you think they're going to spend it on booze, don't give it to them. Or if you think they might do something they don't need to do with it, don't give it to them. I've never read that anywhere. So I think a lot of people don't give because they think whoever they're giving it to might do something they don't think is good with it. But my 2 cents is that's on them, not on you. It tells us to give openly. And that's just Dustin's 2 cents.
That's probably the way. That's very good. That's very good. Good point.
Thanks. You heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those cursing you, do good to those hating you, and pray for those insulting you and persecuting you, so that you become sons of the Father in the heavens. For if you love those loving you, what reward have you? Are the tax collectors not doing the same too? And if you greet your brothers only, what do you do more than others? Are the tax collectors not doing so too? Therefore, be perfect, as your Father in heaven is perfect. Uh-oh. Is he telling us to do something we can't do there?
Don't do anything. It's a work. You can't be saved by doing something. No, I'm just kidding.
You're right.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
I wish they would have footnoted like the Leviticus reference to show that this is actually a Torah command. Like they leave it open-ended.
For sure.
They put in 4 footnotes, but they couldn't put in the
One
one
scripture.
linking it to the Torah. Yeah.
They do pretty good on some others, so I have more good things to say about it than not, I guess.
Was
like
that the end of that Mark? Was that the end of that Mark reading? I like
what he said in
no, it was
5:39.
Matthew 5:33 through 48.
Oh, Matthew, good. Yeah, that explains it. In the Hebrew Matthew, as you were reading it, didn't it start reading it again? It's just the first couple lines. You have heard you're not.
You've heard it said that an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you,
just before that, swearing falsely.
Let's see. You've heard that it has been said by them of old, thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shalt perform unto the Lord thine oaths. But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne.
Right. That doesn't make sense, does it? You have heard of old, you were supposed to swear by this, but I tell you, don't swear at all. That kind of doesn't make sense, right? Maybe you should read it again if you're not understanding what I'm trying to point out.
Again, you heard that it was said to those of old, you swear not falsely, but shall perform your oaths to Yahuwah.
Right. Don't swear. Perform. You are supposed to swear to Yahuwah. You are not supposed to swear falsely. That's the whole point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Read it once again if you're not agreeing with me.
No, I'm with you. It's referring to Leviticus 19:12, and do not swear falsely by my name. So that's
right. Right. So read the next line on what he says. But I tell you.
But I say to you, do not swear at all.
Do not swear at all. So he just said, Leviticus just said, we're supposed to swear by God on things. The living God, I swear I will pay you back this $20. I will sell you this land for 49 years. I will marry your daughter, or whatever the oath may be. You're supposed to swear in his name. Why is Jesus saying don't swear at all? Is he talking? People will turn that into cuss words.
He's not saying don't say the word DAMN or FUCK, I don't think. Not that I'm
swear.
saying
So
you
why?
shouldn't say
So,
that.
so he's not referring to. So there's a contradiction. You told to swear before.
You're cutting out pretty bad, Mike. Sorry. Or did I cut out?
No, we lost him.
Do you know what he's saying there, Deezer, or getting at? I'm not quite getting where he's going.
Well, 1912 just says, "And do not swear falsely by my name, and so profane the name of your Elohim." Let's see what it says in the KJV. "You shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shall I profane my name." So yeah, without more context, like it could go either way. Like if you're, professing to be a Christian and you say things and then don't ever follow through with it, you're like taking God's name in vain, basically. You're swearing, not necessarily like literally swearing, but it doesn't look good on God. And so I think Jesus is just saying, you don't need to swear at all because it just makes him look bad. That's kind of a possibility. So yeah, I don't know. Like there are vows and stuff like that whenever you look at some of the other verses attached to it, but you don't necessarily have to say, oh, in God's name or, Yahuwah's name or whatever name, I promise that I'm going to do this. Like you don't necessarily have to speak those words to, I think, accomplish the tasks of, swearing. Anyway, does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. I hope it sounded as good out loud as it did in my head.
Or we got Matthew 15, 1 through 11. Then there came to Yeshua scribes and Pharisees from Jerusalem, saying, "What do your taught ones transgress the traditions of the elders? For they do not wash their hands when they eat bread." But he, answering, said to them, "Why do you also transgress the command of Elohim because of your tradition? For Elohim has commanded, saying, Respect your father and your mother. He who curses father or mother, let him be put to death. But you say, Whoever says to his father or mother, Whatever profit you might have received from me has been dedicated, is certainly released from respecting his father or mother. So you have nullified the command of Elohim by your tradition. Hypocrites! Yeshayahu rightly prophesied about you, saying, This people draw near to me with their mouth and respect me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain do they worship me, teaching as teachings the commands of men." And calling the crowd near, he said to them, "Hear and understand. Not that which goes into the mouth defiles the man, but that which comes out of the mouth, this defiles him." It's an interesting stopping point.
Right. Well, I guess we are talking about making a vow, defiling his name.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it, really is a good stopping point.
Touche.
Man, like, so he's calling out these Pharisees because these Pharisees make a huge deal and make sure everybody's watching and they get their name in the paper whenever they, tithe or whatever it is that they do. But then they're going home and telling their parents, "Oh, sorry, I can't help take care of you because I gave it all to the church." Like that's some hypocrisy right there.
For
I can't
sure.
imagine being one of those Pharisees getting called out.
Yeah.
And
Yeshua.
the eye for an eye thing, like that one, he's calling out the crowd. He's not calling out the judges. You know, it's the judges who are the ones that are supposed to give eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
Mhm.
Like, you're supposed to reconcile with your brother and not even go to court. Like, the only time you should ever have to go to court is whenever you and your brother can't reconcile. And then because you can't reconcile, God has said, fine, we're just going to go eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Since you all can't freaking get along and just settle this dispute like brothers, you know, we're just going to, yeah. So, yeah, it's not supposed to be that way. It's because your hearts can't, you know, come together and mend that it has to be this rough punishment. It's not supposed to be nice. And it's not supposed to be something that you want.
Amen. Preach it.
Ah, sorry. I get fired up sometimes.
That's not allowed here. No passion. All right. This 1 Peter 1, 13 through 21 will conclude all the scriptures for today. All of them. There was quite a few.
Right? 2 Torah portions, man. And we're only just over 2 hours. That's not bad considering all the talk we've done.
Right. Hope Mike comes back. Hope he didn't think we just booted him or something.
No, it sounded like his internet was a little wonky.
All right. 1 Peter 1, 13 through 21. Therefore, having girded up the loins of your mind, being sober, set your expectation perfectly upon the favor that is to be brought to you at the revelation of Yeshua Messiah, as obedient children, not conforming yourselves to the former lust in your ignorance. Instead, as the one who called you is set apart, so you also should become set apart in all behavior, because it has been written, be set apart, for I am set apart. And if you call on the Father, who without partiality judges according to each one's work, pass the time of your sojourning in fear, knowing that you were redeemed from the futile behavior inherited from your fathers, not with what is corruptible, silver or gold, but with the precious blood of Messiah, as a lamb, unblemished and spotless, foreknown, indeed, before the foundation of the world, but manifested in the last times for your sakes, who through him believe in Elohim, who raised him from the dead and gave him esteem, so that your belief and expectation are in Elohim. It's good stuff. Foreknown, indeed, before the foundation of the world.
Yeah, see, I was wanting it to link to Leviticus 11 and Leviticus 19:2 earlier. Be set apart, for I am set apart. Be
Yep.
perfect, because I'm perfect.
For I am Yahuwah your Elohim, and you shall not, for you shall set yourselves apart, and you shall be set apart, for I am set apart. And do not defile yourselves with any other swarming creature, the one that creeping on the earth. That's 11:44. I hovered here on my computer, but it's not on the screen share. 19:2. Speak.
Yeah, you have to
Click on it.
share. No, you have to share full screen and not an application or a tab or something like that.
Yeah, I
to
just
get
wanted
the-
to share the window because I'm still
Right.
pulling up browsers and stuff and don't want that popping up.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm just saying that's why it's not showing up.
Right. Leviticus 19:2. Speak to all the congregation of the children of Israel and say to them, be set apart, for I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am set apart.
I think we read that one. Yeah, we read that one earlier.
Yep.
I'm glad that they kept that thread the whole way through.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a lot of it today.
Very good.
You can see the thread go all the way through the tapestry.
I like that. Wow. Yeah. 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's not too
What
bad.
you got for us, Kaylee?
Give us some insight. Insight is quiet. Be quiet. You talk too much.
Right? That's probably what she's saying. No questions from the audience today, so pretty quiet.
I must have answered all the questions.
Right? We just did a really good job
That's funny.
of adding our own interpretations to the scriptures. You do a really good job reading. I like listening to you read.
Thanks, buddy. Next year, I'm going to record all the Torah portions on like Friday nights and get ahead so that I don't have to necessarily read it, but then also I can share it with others. I'm also
Next year, we're going to do the whole Bible in a year, and we're going to do it every day.
Well, maybe I'll just do the 3 chapters a day the day before and just play.
Right.
But either way,
We'll have to switch back and forth.
I want to do audio readings of the Torah for sure and do the Torah portions. I don't know about the whole Bible yet, but I've also got this idea of, using riseupdrybones.net, my domain, and having a place where people could come and click on the Torah audio, and a place for people to get together and even use like Jitsi and or what have you to meet virtually and hang out and kind of do a Shabbat gathering group. And
sounds like you need to get to work.
Right?
You're slacking. Or do you Shabbatin?
Right.
So you got the house to yourself?
Yep. Speaking of, I'm getting really hungry. I've got to go cook something.
Right. I was going to say, bring the family over and enjoy this clean yard.
Yeah. Well, my wife's not here to make me a sandwich, so I got to go eat something or eat my arm off.
You don't have any slave labor today either. Dang.
Yeah, I've actually been texting her, about telling her to come home and make me a hot sandwich.
She's right. I was going to say, Kaylee, we need sandwiches. Thanks for watching, Sherry. I'm glad you enjoy our entertainment and our dry humor, or whatever it is that you enjoy here. Thanks for the reading and the music today, Dustin.
Yeah, you're welcome. Shabbat shalom, everybody.